Welcome to the Atlas Sidewalk Sale. We're playing 20 questions with
Callie from Ferris Wheel Press.
All right, let's get into the questions. When I say fountain pen, what pen do you think of?
Oh, our bijou.
All right, how did you get into pens?
This job.
Fair enough. That's how I got into pens too. What was your first pen?
Oh, it was our brush fountain pen in Printmaker's Teal, one of our signature pens that's been discontinued and is now a collector's item.
Mom has it. What's your current daily driver?
Oh, I don't really have a daily driver.
Is there any pen you're reaching for a whole bunch recently?
Oh, I was like, there's so many in my bag, but I would say that the one I go to over and over and over, we actually have it over here. This is the latest one I have. It's our aluminum carousel. That's my daily go-to. Scratch resistant. I throw it in my bag, and my bag has a lot of garbage, so I need something that can hold up. So even though I do have a Macendli that I like to sort through, but it's the aluminum carousel that I tend to go back to over and over.
Fair enough. I love mine. What's your favorite ink?
Oh, it's like asking me my favorite child. I could never do that, except I can and I will. It's Tumultuous Tides by Ferris Wheel Press, available at Atlas Stationers today. Behind me, right there, it's a beautiful sparkly blue. Any sparkly blue is going to be my favorite every single time. I think I don't need another blue, and then it comes out, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just this one more. So that's the one, current favorite, and then the next time there's a sparkly blue, that will then be my favorite, and we'll just keep repeating this over and over and over again.
Fair enough. I think I know the answer to this. Favorite brand of either pens or ink?
My legal answer is Ferris Wheel Press, and my personal answer obviously is Ferris Wheel. They're the ones who got me in the game. They're the ones who taught me everything that I know. They've been kicking it with me for almost 4 years now. Super, super happy. Obviously, if any brand does not say their own brand, I will be shocked. But if you hooked me up to a lie detector test, I promise I would pass. The answer is obviously Ferris Wheel.
I don't know that you've tried modern fountain pens, or vintage fountain pens, but vintage or modern?
Modern. Team modern all the way, because vintage, look, vintage for the wine, modern for the pen is always my answer.
Do you swatch all your inks?
Ooh, I do swatch all my inks, actually. I usually do it live with Atlas on camera. It's usually when you can find me swatching. Although, I will say, I do get very, very spoiled, and usually people will send me my inks pre-swatched because I'm very, very fancy, and I have delicate little lady fingers, apparently, and I cannot swatch my own inks. I cannot be bothered. So, people will be very, very nice and usually swatch mine for me. It's also because I'm kind of garbage at it, and I'm not very good at swatching inks.
I can show you the best product for ink swatching that Atlas sells.
You're going to have to, because I do think that I keep spinning it in my own head as I'm so fancy. People swatch my inks for me when really they're like, Callie's really bad at swatching her inks. Maybe we should just do it for her, that poor little lamb, so she doesn't get completely lost on this.
I'll show you what I use once we're done.
Appreciate it.
Do you have any pens that you daily drive the same ink and pen combination?
Ooh, I'll put it this way. My daily drive for ink and pen combo, it's always going to be usually an aluminum carousel. Sometimes it's our bijou if I swap them in and out. However, the ink that I'm using is usually always our latest launch, because I usually am on live, and I'll always ink up my pens right before so I can see it right. We can show it on camera, and then I'm like, well, it's already here. So my daily go-to is usually whatever the latest Ferris Wheel Press launch is. However, again, sparkly blue, big fan. So I will return usually over and over and over again to any of Blue Barrel Tonic I love, Tumultuous Tides, Riveting Pond, Tears of Sapphire, any of this. So I could just sit here and list sparkling blues.
Yeah.
But any of those I tend to go back to over and over and over again, just so that my signature looks extra fancy against everyone else's boring blue signature. Really, really fun when everyone else is boring, boring, boring glitter. So highly recommend that for all of your legal purposes.
Do you keep your writing samples of nibs, or do you just know how every pen writes?
I know at this point usually how every pen writes. However, every time we come up with a new nib, like our jewel and our bijou, I will always make sure that I spend some time with it, writing, just getting the flow. We also do a lot of testing just with our tiny little team back in Toronto, just to make sure that everyone has a different grip, everyone has a different writing style. We have our righties, we have our southpaws. We want to make sure that everyone gets a good experience out of it. So at this stage, I know pretty much how all of my pens write, so I'm not usually too persnickety about it. However, whenever there's a new nib out, I always want to check it out for ink flow, scratchiness, and I'm a medium girl. I want to get a good breadth on my pens.
I'm a broad girl, so I'm really excited for the new nibs to come out.
Samesies.
Because I have a lot of Ferris Wheel Press finds.
And you have much prettier penmanship than I have. So trust me, when they come out, you will definitely be in the loop to know.
What's a pen you wish you could see in person?
Oh, what was that weird $10,000 one that went viral online? That really bizarre looking, it was here, wasn't it?
Yeah, Atlas has it in the case.
Yeah, like Atlas has it because I was like,
I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, like
Atlas has it in the case.
because like I'm cheating because I did like just get to see it, but I'm like it's like the weird, like I'll put it this way: the nichier, the wonkier, the more
is
ridiculous.
it the Frankenstein? Was it the Frankenstein?
Oh, I don't know if it was the Frankenstein one, but it was one that was like $10,000. It was super special. Like it's tucked away. You have to like request to view it.
Oh yeah.
It was like that one that I was like, I hear it is around. I'm like, I just wish to witness it. I wish to be in its presence, like the Mona Lisa. So that was like that for me was like my moment of like, can I just like I just need to see what all like the hubbubaloo, the fuss, like everything's about. And once I do that, I'll be in a great mood.
That was me with Visconti at the Chicago Pen Show. It was like, I just need to see one in person. I need to hold one. I need to get it out of my system.
I need it to call me poor. And once it does I'm happy and I'm in a great spot.
I don't need one. I just need to hold one.
See, you're better. You need to hold on. Like, if I just look at it, I'm like, I get the vibe, I get the energy. I think I'm good.
Well, Visconti has them out for you to be able to touch.
See, that's a date. Look, that's how I got cats, okay? Like, we have to be careful about what I'm allowed to, like, go and touch, all right? Like, that's how things happen. So, like, now, like, I keep my hands to myself.
What's a pen you would recommend to a beginner? Oh, actually, sorry. What's your Grail?
Oh, my Grail. Oh, that's a hard one. Oh, my Grail. Pen and ink or just pen? Pen. I'm such a sucker. I think it's just like, look, this is a nostalgia thing, and like, and I get it, and like heavily biased, but it's still for me. It's my Printmaker Steel Brush fountain. Like, it was my first one, so like it's like special, and like I don't use it a lot anymore, not because I don't like it, but just because I'm like, well, it was like the first one, so like it's cute and it's pretty, so it's always that one. That's the one that like it's the Grail, and because it is so sacred, no one gets to tuck it. We can only like look at it. It's a looking, it's decor, like a collectible Barbie.
What's a pen you would recommend to a beginner?
Okay, like beginner or like
beginner.
Okay, beginner. We're brand new. We're brand new. Never heard of anything. Okay, beginners. I would definitely recommend going. I'm gonna pick like the fancy one. I would definitely recommend going for like our PVC carousel.
Yes.
Like, look, it's meant for entry level. You're new to it. You want to start getting into it. It's not super expensive, so you can come on in, but of course it still has its signature gorgeous packaging because we want to make fancy fun. So I would always recommend a carousel for people who are new, just starting to get into it, and for like, not the new, but newer, but like maybe you've been in it for a little while, I would recommend like obviously one of my favorites, which is the aluminum carousel. A little more expensive, but you get a little bit more grip, a little bit more weight, and again, it's scratch proof, so if you're like me and your bag is filled with garbage, basically you don't have to worry so much about anything getting damaged. So that would be like my recommendations for like beginner. Go to the carousels.
What's an ink you would recommend to a beginner?
How many times can I say tumultuous tides in the interview before they're like, we have to move on? I mean, I'll put it this way. So I have different answers depending on what you like. So if you are a fine person, if you're like, I like fine, like I'm into that, I like really like extra fine. If for a matte ink, if you want like matte, I would recommend like a Jelly Bean Blue with us. It's one of our most popular ones. It's a really like beautiful, like nice, almost royal blue, great for a daily, right? If you play for team fun, then I would recommend, we have so many inks that have a lot of sheen and a lot of glitter to them, including our Fairy Tales collection. So I would highly recommend anything from there. So Ruby Royal Flush, gorgeous if you love a beautiful red. Green with Curiosity is a good favorite. Like,
I don't have either of those.
Well, we might have to fix this.
Okay.
But gorgeous Knitted Nettle, Unfettered Flight, I know that you are quite the fan of.
Unfettered Flight, I'm on my second bottle of this.
Oh, plated gold thread. Look, again, if you are like, I'll put it this way, if you're an attorney, maybe I would say if you go for the fines, go for your Jelly Bean Blues, go for like that nice matte, you want to have like that beautiful base line. However, if you are more like, I'm here for creativity, art, I want to journal, and like, or I just want to show everyone else up on the group DocuSign, then you show up for the Fairy Tales, and then you get the glitter, the sparkle. Highly recommend checking out that line, that collection.
All right, what advice would you have for a beginner who might be a bit intimidated by fountain pens?
Ooh, it's not intimidating. Just play with it. It's art. It's art stuff. It's like makeup. It's here for you to play with and have fun. Don't look, rules are made to be broken. You don't have to use ink just to write. You can use it to paint. You can use it to draw. Scribble with it. Doodle with it. I've had like some people, our inks are water-based. They're perfectly safe. Don't drink them. But I've had some people put their hands in and just do like dot art with their fingers and like finger paint with it. Ink is made to be played with. It's meant to be fun. And that's what we really wanted to do with our brand, is we wanted to take something traditionally fancy, traditionally like very highbrow, very like Titanic first class, and we wanted to make it really, really interesting and approachable. So my advice would be, listen, in the great words of Nike, just do it. Just get in, play with it, have your fun with it, and that's when you're really going to start to open up and explore. And then, of course, your bank account won't maybe appreciate that, but you are going to have a great time.
You are going to have a great time. What filling mechanism do you think is most interesting, regardless of if you actually use it or not?
Piston. Really love, like, I'm a sucker for any TikTok video of like when people do the piston converters and it fills.
Oh, that's vacuum.
Oh, vacuum. My brain calls it piston. My brain
piston
is like,
is twist.
It is twist in my brain, but I see this and I hear like so my brain calls it piston. It's wrong. My brain will call it piston forever, and I will just insist that everyone else has to adapt to my new word and my new style. I will gaslight everyone.
Yeah.
So that would be vacuum, but any of those videos where it's click and whoop, like, I love the foop moment.
The Atlas vacuum videos?
Any of the foops. That's what I want.
Yes.
It's the foop verter. Like, it goes up and like it just looks so pretty. Although, like, again, because like for ease of use, I like your standard out of the mill. It's like syringe, like standard universal converter. That's my go-to. But like if you want that TikTok content, foop content is what I want to see. That's what I'm aiming for, and that is what you want to do if you want to get my engagement.
Yes. What nib size do you prefer to write with?
Medium. Medium all the way. I want to see the glitter.
Yeah. Is there a style of nib you love but would never actually use?
Ooh, oh, that's a good one. My answer is either going to be it's broad or it's flex. Love it. However, you need skill to use it. And tragically, the only skill I have is talk. So talk, fine. Write, less so. So even though like I really appreciate a flex and I really, really appreciate a broad, and I love watching people do it, I love watching people use it. If someone's like, would you like to? I'm like, oh no, you don't want me to. This is going to look like a toddler. So my advice would be, and when it comes to those categories, play with it, have fun with it, recognize that sometimes it's best to leave it to the artistic people.
Do you always use the same paper? If so, what paper?
Oh, I don't always use the same paper, actually. I'll put it this way, I use a lot of our notebooks, so like our Always Right, our Nothing Left, so like some really good stock, doesn't bleed through, always really, a really good, like, a good spread, good bullets. I like bullet paper. However, I am not fussy. I have, like, it's like when it comes to food, I have the palate of a goat. Like, anything is great to me. So whenever it comes to any kind of like cardstock, anything around me, if I just have to write something, if it's going to be like a journal, I want it to be in my like Always Right notebook. Obviously, doesn't bleed. I'm happy. However, I will write on anything that you give me. I am notorious for giving people business cards of just ripped off printer paper and just blah, 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 there. And like, that's what you get. So particularly with me, not fussy. I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah. Do you have a least favorite ink or ink color family?
Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't say that, like, it's not that I don't like it, so like no one take offense, don't at me. Like, I don't want, like, if you love it and it's your favorite, that's great, good for you, you're better than me, like, go thrive. However, I will say personally, I don't use a lot of greens and yellows. Okay. It's not because I don't like them and I don't think they're beautiful. I do. Again, the problem is I can't draw. And when it comes to writing, I like to write usually with like a darker, deeper, like I really want to see it show up. And then when I see like, again, someone like do art with the greens and like the yellows, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. But I'm like, I can't draw with it. And when I write with it, it just highlights how bad my 3rd grade level handwriting already is. I need something to mask it, which is why I like glitter. So like it sparkles. You can't notice it as much. Like that's what you do. There's a mistake. You put glitter on it so no one knows. So again, if yellow, and like I know that a lot of people love our yellow, a lot of people love the green, and so do I think they're beautiful. But for me, not so much in use because again, I'm not talented. So that's really what we're coming back to.
Well, thank you for playing 20 questions at the Atlas Sidewalk Sale.
Thank you. Pleasure for having me. Everyone check her out. She's amazing. She's awesome. She does the best stuff. Greatest work ever. Like, we're so happy to have you on the team. One of our
I am so happy to be part of the team. I love the monthly packages. They're super fun.
Again, and anything you need, always hit us up. Like, she's awesome. You guys came to the right place for all your advice.